Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be taking a look at the new errata for Warhammer Underworlds. So here we are on the Warhammer community site, and there's a lot of information to go through in this video. We've got some erratas, some designer commentary, and we've also got some war scrolls so we can use the miniatures from Warhammer Underworlds Harrowdeep in Age of Sigmar. So here's the article dated the 22nd of October 2021, and I'll put a link in the description below so you can easily find all these erratas. So Harrowdeep is up for pre-order this week, and it's actually going to start being delivered or available to collect tomorrow, and I ordered mine last weekend, and so I'm really looking forward to getting this in the post tomorrow. I've also got those acrylic tokens too, so can't wait for that, and I'll be doing an unboxing video tomorrow, getting them painted as quick as I can, and then going through exactly some of the new rules and how to play and some of the changes. So this is a great video to kind of prep us for that as we can look at some of the updates that have come out. But great looking box, and I've done a few videos on this already if you want to check those out. But one of the main things that are going to come from this season of Warhammer Underworlds is the introduction of this new Rivals format. And this is really great, especially if you're not really into the idea of deck building, or you didn't want to do it because you didn't want to buy loads of different decks just to pluck out some of the most important cards or high value cards. But now with the Rivals format, you can just simply use the deck that come with each warband, and then you know you're going to compete against someone else who can also only choose the deck that comes with a warband. So that's going to make it a lot easier to get started. Potentially you only need to buy one core set or even one warband and you're good to play, and then you could learn everything there is to know from that deck, become an expert in that warband, and then be able to compete against others too. So I think this is a really quick way to get in with it, and I think this is a really good idea. I mean, it almost seemed like you could have done this already. Each warband came with their own pack, which is a pre-built deck that you could use, but I think just formalising it by calling it the Rivals format and putting a set of rules behind that is a really good idea. So let's have a quick look through the article, and then we'll go and take a look at all the different erratas and all the updates that have come out. So now we've got some videos here, some links on how to build the Zandire's Truth Seekers and the Cunning Crew, and then also how to paint them as well. So this is how to get them ready and on the tabletop. So I'll be doing mine with mostly contrast paints, maybe some dry brushing, some dry brushing, and I think I'm going to go with a completely different look for my Stormcast. I'm going to go with a black theme to match my Age of Sigmar army that I'm slowly building and putting together. So here you'll see in the article that you've got the errata that you can download and have a look at. And so we can click on that, and that'll take us to the FAQs and all the information, which we're going to do in a second. And then we've also got down the bottom the War Scrolls, and this is going to allow us to play with these models in Age of Sigmar 2. But let's start off with the errata, and we'll click on that, and then that's going to take us to this page. And you can see we're on the Warhammer community site in the FAQs under Warhammer Underworlds, and it's 5 different updates here. So we've got the Arena Mortis format rules, we've got the Championship format rules, we've got Harrowdeep, the Relic format, and now the Rivals format rules as well. So we've got a fair bit to have a look at. I'm not going to read every single thing that they've put in these updates. I think that video would go on for hours, so I'll just pick out some of the main points, give a really good overview, and then these links will be in the description below, to that article at least, where you can go and easily find these and have a good look through, because some of this might not apply to you. You might not play Championship format or Arena Mortis, so that would be of no interest. But the others, I think, if you wanted to dive a little deeper, you could have a really good read through yourself. So let's get started with the Arena Mortis format rules, and so we'll see what we're presented with here. And they've done this update really nicely. You can download it as a PDF, which is great. But it's very crisp and clear, and I like the way they've presented this. I think it's really good. So the Arena Mortis format rules, if you don't know about this already, I'm just going to read the introduction so you can get a good idea of what it's about. It's an exciting and unique format for Warhammer Underworlds. You choose your fighter, construct your twin power decks, and then get ready for epic multiplayer battles as you battle your rivals to claim glory in the Arena Mortis. So usually you just go with like one fighter here, so you don't take the whole warband in. And so this just tells us all about that. Everything like boards are all previously released game boards are allowed, so there's no restrictions there. And so anything else is going to tell us we can't use. We can use all previously released universal cards. However, where cards have been reprinted in multiple seasons, they're assumed to have the wording of the most recent version printed. And there's no restricted cards in this format, but no Forsaken cards are allowed. And it tells us which of these Forsaken cards here. So we've got a list of Forsaken cards added to the Forsaken list below to improve the experience of playing Warhammer Underworlds competitively, and this list is updated October 2021. So it tells us the following cards are Forsaken, and they can't be included in any deck that's used in Arena Mortis format event. So it tells us which season and the number, and then which card it is. And that's pretty much it. So Arena Mortis format rules are really quick and easy. There's not a lot going on there to look at. Now let's look at the Championship format rules. And I've never played a game competitively of Underworlds, so the Championship format rules are not something I've really looked into all that much. But this is going to give us all the changes. So if you do like to play the Championship format, then this is going to be the section for you. And you can see that we've got 2 pages here in the errata for the Championship format. And in Championship, players construct their power and objective decks using cards from the current and previous season of Underworlds. And to create the most balanced competitive experience, Championship uses Forsaken and restricted card lists. And the card pool and the available boards in Championship are constantly evolving too. And that's alongside any new products as they're released. And this is the idea, is to make it both fun and challenging way to play Warhammer Underworlds. So here we can see that for our warbands in Championship play, we can use all previously released Warhammer Underworlds warbands, and their faction cards are allowed. And then for the deck construction, you can only use universal cards with the following set icons. So now we can only use Harrowdeep, Diachasm, Arena Mortis, and Warhammer Underworlds The Essential Cards Pack. And I'm guessing there'll be a few more of these card packs coming out at some point. But it does say that, however, universal cards from previous sets, i.e. sets not listed above, that have been reprinted in the above sets are considered legal, but they're assumed to have the wording of the most recent version printed. And you can get that most recent version wording from the errata that we're going to look at for the main game later on as well. So if you've got those old cards, you don't have to buy new ones, but you do have to update them to the most recent printed versions. So here, a maximum of 3 restricted cards can be included across a player's objective and power decks, but no Forsaken cards are allowed. And here, so we're not seeing anything really changed all that. It's got a list of all the boards we can use, the best of 3 games. You've got this alliance feature, and this is a variant of the format where teams of players compete together, aiming to win as a team. So there we go, that's pretty interesting. And then in here, we've got the errata and designers' commentaries, and players are expected to be aware of and adhere to these. So we've got lots of things you have to really keep up on the rules for this competitive play, which makes a lot of sense. So here's our Forsaken and restricted cards now. So it tells us which cards are restricted, and they cannot be included in any deck using a Championship format event. And so it's going to list everything underneath, and then restricted cards. You cannot include more than 3 of those, as we've covered already. So that tells us all the different cards, and it lists them all here. So there we go. So there's all the cards. And that's pretty much the errata for the Championship format rules. Next, we've got Relic format rules. And the Relic format allows players to combine cards from any season of Warhammer Underworlds in their power and objective decks. And certain cards are banned for gameplay reasons, but there are no restricted cards in Relic. And this gives players access to all sorts of combos when deciding which warband to use and the cards that will go into their decks, and also allows them to use even the oldest cards in their collection. So if you really like the old Night Vault and Shadespire and even now Beastgrave sets and the cards that come with those, then all previously released Underworlds warbands and their factions will be allowed to use those. So that's really great too. So we know what warbands we can use, and now for our deck construction, we can use all previously released universal cards. So that's great. But again, where cards have been reprinted in multiple seasons, just keep up to date with the most recent version printed. And there's no restricted cards, no Forsaken cards are allowed, which we'll see on the right as well. And a player's objective deck must include at least 15 objective cards and cannot include more than 6 surge objectives. And we've got for the boards, we can use any boards that are previously released, so that's really good. And then we've got this best of 3 rules in there. Then again, keeping up to date with everything through the FAQs. So still treated as a kind of competitive style, but you just got access to more cards, I guess. And then here's the list of Forsaken cards with the objective and power cards below it. So there we are. And that's just one page. So for Relic format, that's nice and easy. Just one page with our updated list of Forsaken cards, which is updated in October 2021. The Rivals format rules. I've been really looking forward to finding out more about this, and I can't wait to get the game tomorrow when it arrives. But Rivals format is exclusively featuring Rivals decks, and a Warband's Rivals deck is a deck made from cards that only feature that Warband symbol, which means if you have at least one Warband, you've got everything you need to join in this competitive format. So still competitive, but just much easier to get into it. So I really like that idea. And it's great for players just getting started, as we talked about earlier, with organised play, and it's a good way to put the latest Warband in your collection through the paces. So yeah, that's a good point. You can just pick up the most recent Warband and just play it straight away. You don't have to worry about which cards will work with it. They're all going to come. Just learn those cards and get playing. So I think this is really great. I'm really into this Rivals format, and this is the sort of game I could imagine playing competitively for the first time, like going to a local store and having a game. I think it's not intimidating at all. The rules of the game is simple, and having everything in that one deck, you're not referring to books constantly, and you don't have to have 10 different books just to play one Warband either. So I think the idea of having everything in one pretty affordable pack for a Warband, even though the prices have gone up, and I was really shocked to see it was £65 now. Even though the prices have gone up, we can expect those to be around 30, if not more, pounds for new Warbands coming. I still think that's all you need. That isn't too bad. You've got everything you need there. The models are fantastic. The sculpts are great. The bases are all done. They're really fun to paint, and the artwork's good too. I think even for around £30, if that's all you needed to play the game, I think that's pretty good. You can even get the rules online for free as well. So, you know, for a £30 investment, you're in. But if you like to collect, then, you know, it's your hobby is collecting. Like I like to just collect all the different warbands, use them in Warcry. The artwork's great. So for me, having that price increase isn't brilliant. You know, there may be some things I won't get now. I don't know yet. But if you're just wanting to get one warband, I think it's a really good way to get started in Warhammer and get started in competitive play. But here it tells us that all Warhammer Underworlds warbands that have at least 12 faction objective cards and 20 faction power cards, of which no more than half can be gambits, can be used in this Rivals format. And where a warband does not have enough faction cards for a complete objective and or power deck, as is the case with the older warbands, or some of them, they can only be used in the Rivals format in combination with a Universal Rivals deck. So this Universal Rivals deck is something I'm interested in, because if we want to play something from Shadespire or Nightvolt, then we may need to get this Universal Rivals deck. So the deck construction in the Rivals format, a warband must have one of the following: a Rivals deck that includes cards, or only includes cards, with that warband symbol; the Diachasm Universal Rivals deck called Silent Menace; the Harrowdeep Universal Rivals deck, Illusory Might. So this is really telling us we're going to get more of these Universal Rivals decks for sure as we get more releases over the next year. And if a warband has only 12 faction objectives, that warband's Rivals objective deck is not limited to 6 Surge objective decks, so a little bit different to the previous format we looked at. There are no Forsaken or restricted cards in the Rivals format. And so here's our Silent Menace card list. We've got the objective cards there, power cards, we've got our boards. You can only use the following game boards though, and that's got a list of all those game boards there, and best of 3 games, some rules that apply to it. And that's, again, one single page for the Rivals format is all we need to know. The really big errata, and this is Warhammer Underworlds Harrowdeep, again dated October 2021, and the following errata is going to correct errors in Warhammer Underworld. So this is going to look at all the rules and different fighter cards and pretty much everything to do with the game that they're updating. So anything highlighted in magenta here means that that's going to be changes are made from the previous version. So they're going to have that printed in magenta. And so there we go. So we can see, if I just scroll down through this, there's an awful lot of magenta going on here. So there we are. And we've also got all the other paragraphs are giving us like things that we need to add. So we need to add some text to it too. So I'm not going to go through this whole thing. It's a huge document, quite a lot of information, but let's have a quick overview. And then if you want to find out more, you could check it out. But I was really looking forward to getting the rulebook tomorrow and almost doing this myself, making a comparison. So I'm really glad this has come out now because it's going to save me going to do that, which is really awesome. So here we are. So we've got fighter traits, and in Warhammer Underworlds Harrowdeep, 2 fighter traits have been added. They are Beast and Flying. And the following fighters from older warbands are going to gain the additional traits listed. So in each case, the trait replaces a similar ability on their fighter card. So from now on, these abilities all work in the same way. And so it just tells us, for example, Thorns of the Briar Queen, each fighter gets the flying ability there. So there we are. And again, you could look through all the different warbands that are going to be affected by that down to here. Now we've got Grand Alliance, and in Warhammer Underworlds Harrowdeep, each warband belongs to one of the Grand Alliances, and the Grand Alliances contain the following older warbands respectively. So now it's put everything into the different orders, which we knew already which order they belong to, but here we go. So we've got the orders all listed now, so that's all official. And now we've got Chaos keywords, and in Underworlds Harrowdeep, a fighter's devotion to one or another of the Chaos gods can now have an effect in the game. So this is cool. And fighters in the following older warband gain the additional keywords listed here. So there we go. So Garrick's Reavers, one of the old ones, now gets the keyword corn. So that's really good. And then we've got other errata. And then we've got some different changes here. So we just changed the death beat reaction to read this here, for example. And then you're just going to go through and start picking out the different ones. Kagra's Ravagers has got a change or an addition to it. It's already changed the Inspire condition now on each fighter to read after an activation there are 2 or more desecration tokens on the field. So we're getting some changes there, and then some additions and changes as we keep reading through. For all the different warbands, we can see how they're going to be affected. And so this is all pretty much the warbands now going down to here, where we've got universal objectives, and that's going to list all the changes for our objectives, our universal gambits, our universal upgrades, all changed. And that brings us to the end of that document. So I guess a lot of this isn't going to apply. If you don't have Moloch's mob, for example, you don't need to worry about that unless you're playing against them and want to keep up to date with what it says on their cards, of course. But there we go. So pretty big update, fair amount of information to run through there. But that's the official errata for Harrowdeep. As well as the errata for Harrowdeep and for Relic format, we've got designer commentary as well. So let's have a look at the Harrowdeep designer commentary, and this is a big one. So let's get that open, and here we go. So we've got championship format designers commentary. You can download as a PDF again. And so the idea here, it tells us, is the following commentary is intended to complement games of Warhammer Underworlds played in the championship and alliance formats. It's presented as a series of questions and answers. The questions are based on ones that have been asked by players, and the answers are provided by the rules writing team and explain how the rules are intended to be used. So there's a lot here. Let's just scroll down so you can see it. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's keep going faster. 6, 7, 8, all the way to the bottom. I mean, this is a lot. We've got 13 Q&A pages. So there's no way I'm going to cover this in one video. I think to read through every single thing is going to take some time. I plan to have a look at it all, but I haven't yet. So what I might do is just come back to this in a separate video with just picking out some of the main questions that stood out to me. But yeah, I think there's a lot here. Lots and lots and lots of questions and answers to go through. But if there's things you're not unsure, there's a good chance they've been answered here already when we look at how many there is. So this is pretty good, actually. This is really showing they put a lot of thought into this. Obviously, there's been a lot of questions coming up as games and championship events are played, I guess. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on. So if you're interested in having a look at that Q&A, then that's going to be the championship format designers commentary for Warhammer Underworlds Harrowdeep. Again, it's all accessible through the link that I'll put in the description. But the Q&A for the Relic format. So this is the designers commentary, and this is no joke either. Let's go and scroll down here as well and see there's a lot of pages. We're looking at 22 pages. So you've got 22 pages now of Q&A. That's insane. So again, a huge amount of information, lots to read through. If you like playing the Relic Championship format, or Relic format, sorry, then this is the one for you. Really must be packed with information there. So yeah, lots of questions, lots of answers, and that's available if you want to check that out too. That's all the erratas and the designer commentary, an overview at least of all those. So lots of information there, but I think just pick out the one that's going to apply to you and have a good read through. But there's still more to look at as we head back to the article. So we've seen the errata now, but we can also use the Cunning Crew and Xandire's Truth Seekers in Age of Sigmar. So now we've got some scrolls to have a look at. So let's check those out. And who we got first? Let's see. So we've got the Manok, the Cunning, and the Cunning Crew to look at first. So Manok's going to be the leader. He gets his own card. And so this gives us all the information we can use to use him in Age of Sigmar. And that's got everything from his different weapon characteristics, the character, stats there, and the keywords, and then all the abilities you can use as well. So this is really great if you're interested in using him in your Age of Sigmar game. And as you scroll down, you've also got one for the Cunning Crew. Now, you're not going to get one each. You're pretty much going to get them all listed on one card. So as it says here, the models in the Cunning Crew, there's all the names, and they're armed with different weapons. So you would just pick out the different weapon and then apply that. So I guess you might want to make a card for each one and then just cross out whichever isn't relevant, perhaps. But it looks like they can all use these abilities here. So there we are. So, or can we? Maybe not, actually. The Kugrin's the Hobgrot is the Cunning Crew's paymaster, and as long as he is still standing, the rest of the crew will not desert him. Okay, so that does apply to just one of them. So this isn't good. It kind of applies to all of them, but really is relevant to that guy. So they're all linked, and I would say, yeah, just print off a card for each, maybe if you're playing. I don't know, or just write next to them, perhaps just the name, so you know which model applies to which weapon. I think that might be a good way to go, actually. So there we go. So that's the War Scrolls for the Cunning Crew. And next we've got Xandire's Truth Seekers. So we've got one War Scroll, and that's going to apply to Xandire and the Truth Seekers that are included. So everything's on one War Scroll for all of those as well. So yeah, you're not going to get two. So just one page with one War Scroll, and that's everything you need on there. So all in one place again. Maybe just either print one off each, or just put the name next to it there. Perhaps that would work. So that's a good way to refer to it. But I suppose if you've got lots of units, you've got a large army, you don't want loads of cards. So having it on one is actually pretty handy. So there we go. So that's available to if you're looking to play Xandire's Truth Seekers in your Stormcast Eternals army. Now we've gone through the errata and the commentary and the FAQs and everything, and the War Scrolls, so you can use them in Age of Sigmar if you want to. And if you're interested in picking up this set, I mean, it does look fantastic. The models are really excellent, but I'll put a link to Element Games in the description below. And although the retail price is £65, which is a huge jump from Diachasm, which I think was £50, that's a really big jump. You can still get it for £52 with Element Games, so you're going to save 20%, and you get this great set for £52, which makes it a bit more affordable. And I think that's a lot more appealing. 65 is way too much. I got it from the Warhammer Games Workshop site because I wanted those acrylic tokens, and I had a £10 voucher from Warhammer Plus, so I thought what better way to use it than saving £10, getting the set for 55 and getting those tokens as well. So I mean, otherwise that voucher was really not worth £10 when you consider you can save 20% on products websites like Element Games anyway. But I'll put a link in the description below. You'll save that money. It's an affiliate link, so I'll get a commission too, so you also help support the channel by buying there as well. So thanks so much for that. If you do choose to have a look, I really appreciate it. I hope this gave you a good idea of the new errata, a little overview of what you can expect to get from it. But I can't wait for tomorrow when the game comes out, and I'll be doing a deep dive into the game itself, unboxing it, having a look, getting everything painted, and then going through some of these changes and how they affect the gameplay using the board as well. I think that'd be really fun. But I'd love to know what you think about this errata and the changes, especially the Rivals format. Does that appeal to you, and what are you looking forward to the most from these updates? But for now, thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. If you like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page, and thanks to everyone who's joined so far. It's really awesome. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, share ideas and help each other out, and you'll get some perks there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I'll put a link in the description, and it'd be great to see you there.